Welcome to the grand reopening of Showtime for the 2023 to 2024 season. We have an excellent program lined up this evening that I am sure that you will enjoy. Notice that on the agenda for this evening, I have been able to define several categories of similar type programs. The first one being the bicycling category, specifically the L Tour race, which recently came through Green Valley with about 3,000 riders altogether. And the first program is an L Tour program by Chuck Hill. Oh, hey, that's me, or President and CEO of Showtime. I have the advantage of placing my program first so that people will be able to watch it before they fall asleep. The music in this program is a little bit special to me, and I can explain that later. I'd like to stop here for just a minute and explain the music. My grandson, Patrick Stevenson, and his high school buddy, Parker Vladimir, during the summer worked on productions of some music. And this is one of the songs they came up with. They do have an album that is posted on Spotify, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. No matter where you go, you can find it. And now they are friends and roommates at the University of Washington. They're both freshmen studying computer science. So that's it. Let's continue with the program. The next program features not only L Tour, but also the refreshment and aid stand staffed by many local volunteers located on Mission Road about 5 miles north of Duval Mine Road. Tom Parker in the club pulled this together, but several others contributed. We are doing this live and Zoom, but I think there's only a few Zoomers with us this evening. And starting in January, we won't be doing hybrids anymore. It'll just be live, but if you can't make it, it'll be recorded and you can view it later on YouTube. This will save some of the technical challenges that we are facing, like tonight and other times. So anyway, the next category, I should say many thanks to the almost 20 volunteers that staffed the aid station or refreshment stand. If you want to know where it is, it's about 5 miles north of Duval Mine Road on Mission Road, right by a power station. And I'm sure they will be there next year also. And I forgot to say that on that the music for the first program, grandson Packard is the bass player. His friend Parker is the what do you call it? Not the piano, but the keyboard player. Yeah, I couldn't come up with it. And they added in digital effects. So anyway, so the next category I called Ants in Your Pants. And the first program is by Pat. Is Pat here? Yeah, do you want to say anything about that?
Well, this was a wonder of nature that appeared outside my place early one morning while drinking coffee.
Here we go.
I noticed this line across the street. I couldn't figure out what it was. Had it rained overnight or not? Wait a minute. This line is moving. Oh my goodness. This is a line of ants busily working to stock their home for the coming winter. I followed them for a while and realized that they had been at this since before dawn. And then they just disappeared around 9 a.m. While returning from our friend's house after eating dinner, we noticed that the ants were out working after dark. The next morning they were still there, and I decided that's when I should get out the camera. They left the pavement and began going overland. This proceeded for another 50 yards or so, and they started to go down embankment into the Aurora. I tried to follow them, but I decided I was not going to go down that embankment just to follow a bunch of ants. So I decided that in this video and their foraging efforts for the day, perhaps even the season. And that's it.
Is Joe Jackson here? No, we'll just proceed with his program then. It's really pretty funny.
Ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching one by one. The little one stops to suck his thumb, and they all go marching, marching on today. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching two by two. The little one stops to tie his shoe, and they all go marching, marching on today. The ants go marching three by three, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching three by three, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching three by three. The little one stops to sing with me, and they all go marching, marching on today. The ants go marching four by four, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching four by four, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching four by four. The little one stops to shut the door, and they all go marching, marching on today. The ants go marching five by five, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching five by five, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching five by five. The little one stops to run and hide, and they all go marching, marching on today. The ants go marching six by six, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching six by six, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching six by six. The little one stops to carry six, and they all go marching, marching on today. The ants go marching seven by seven, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching seven by seven, hurrah, hurrah. The ants go marching seven by seven. The little one stops to look to heaven. They all go marching, marching on today.
Wasn't that simply fantastic? Let's see. I want this one. Oh no, this. If you feel you want to stand up and kind of brush off, that would be okay. It's hard, such teamwork, but I couldn't tell who was in charge. The next one, I could not find a category for. There was a field trip a few days ago to Van Gogh in Ore Valley, I think. Any of you go? Couple, okay. Well, Ron Stein is going to take you there for those that were not able to go. Ron, do you want to say anything about this?
Well, a particular show that I started was up in Minneapolis in the warehouse. And the wall, there were two walls, but the longest wall was 40 feet long. And the floor was glazed. So the projection from the wall also showed up on the floor. It was just extremely on the site, really something. And I would advise that their show is still here to go see it. And it's a Doug,
Yes, sir.
one thing that I think you should know is I recorded that whole thing with an iPhone. You don't need a big camera to go out.
Did you use a tripod?
No, that was handheld.
Really? Wow. I don't know how you could be that steady.
I never do it again.
I mean, that's a long time holding it like this. Okay. And then we have a category from the, is it Beastie or Bistie? National Wild Wilderness Area. Yeah. And the only thing I could figure out is I'll call them Bistie 1, 2, and 3. But they're all from Bistie, but they're all different. Okay. So Kevin is not here. I don't think Arlene is here. Todd, is there anything you want to say for the you and the other two?
Well, it's an amazing place. It's otherworldly. I mean, when you go there and you just see all these geological formations, you're like, what planet am I on? It's in northwestern New Mexico, south of Farmington. So you have to go back off the main road a little bit to get to it, and then walk out to it. But it's the first time I saw it was when Arlene showed it at our multimedia group and everything, and it hooked me. I'm like, okay, I got to go there. So been there a couple times. So and then Kevin was just there within the last few months, and so he put his video together and showed it. So then it inspired me. I'm like, okay, I need to go back to look at my stuff and put something together, and so that's what we've got.
Yeah, we have a sequence kind of like that coming up pretty soon. So the first one is from Kevin. So we will go there. And I didn't, on the last, there was that little next video on the right-hand side. This is not my laptop, it's my wife's. She let me use it tonight. And I have a kind of a hard time sweeping the mouse off to the right, which gets rid of that stuff at the bottom because I don't have a lot of room up here. Anyway, okay, complain. let's see what's. There we are. So we'll jump right into the next one because Todd's already had his chance to say something.
Yes,
How high were those formations? Was that a sandstone or what?
I'm not sure.
Can you walk out amongst there?
Yes,
That
yeah,
is
you have to.
something?
So from where the parking lot is, when you see those signs that say entering the wilderness area, it's about a mile hike out there. And one of the things that actually impressed me the first time I was there is I was almost out to where all the formations are, and there were these two elderly women. They were both in their 90s, and one was with a walker and just going along. But I was like, they really impressed me.
Next one's by Arlene Metier. It's a little bit longer, so sit back and enjoy. Did I do that? Huh. Let's start over again. What's this do? Let's go back 10 seconds. We're kind of stuck. And I can't get to.
Finally, after months of planning our New Mexico trip and Jimmy getting on board with this crazy idea I had, we were on our way to see Bisti Badlands, also known as the Nazan Wilderness in Farmington, New Mexico, near Four Corners. This is where over millions of years and natural elements etched a fantasy world of strange rock formations, also known as the Nazan Wilderness in Farmington, New Mexico, near Four Corners. This is where over millions of years and natural elements etched a fantasy world of strange rock formations in this 45,000-acre wilderness. The rock formations are made of interbedded sandstone, shale, mudstone, coal, and silt. The area is managed by the Bureau of Land Management, with the exception of 3 parcels of privately owned Navajo land where you dare not step. There are so many Navajo stories and myths surrounding highly mystical creatures like skinwalkers that Navajos will not speak of with outsiders for fear of retribution by the skinwalkers. Also, it's a taboo subject amongst the natives themselves. Because of the area being so remote and me being such a worrywart about getting lost, GPS in that area is sketchy, so Jimmy and I decided to hire a guide to take us to see the magnificent King of the Wings rock formation, which I read about in a magazine and wanted to see in person. This was our guide's first time giving the tour, and after 6 hours of nonstop hiking over rocks, maneuvering in slot canyons, climbing up sandstone mounds and climbing down steep cliffs, we got lost and had no idea where we were, let alone the King of the Wings rock formation. And it was starting to get dark. I just wanted to get out. At that point, I didn't care about finding the wings, and shadows were casting odd shapes along the walls. Could a skinwalker be following us? When we walked out of one of the slot canyons, we stumbled upon odd rock formations. They looked like some sort of alien pods in a nursery of sorts. Could these things be hibernating or waiting to be born? What are they? We all started feeling very uncomfortable and wanted to leave. As we turned around, we thought we saw streaks of light in the far distance. Maybe our nerves were getting the best of us, or we were having a heat stroke. After all, we didn't drink anything in the 6 hours we've been hiking. No restrooms. Oh, this place is getting scarier and scarier. We wondered if we ventured onto Navajo land by mistake and were hallucinating. Jimmy said, "Do you hear that? It sounds like buzzing, but where is it coming from? We couldn't see anything." In the distance, we thought we saw a flicker of light moving and wanted to check it out. Maybe it was just a Jeep with its headlights on, but how's that possible? No driving allowed. You must hike in the 5 miles. Did you ever feel like you were being watched? You know, the feeling where the hair on the back of your neck starts to tingle and you get that awful gut feeling. Why are we feeling like this? We were alone with miles and miles of strange sandstone formations surrounding us, looking like sentinels on some distant otherworldly planet. The closer we got, my head was spinning, and so was Jim's watch dial. And as we walked closer, we saw what looked like a halo of light. The heck is it? Jimmy walked over, threw a rock at it, and the rock disappeared. That's impossible. So Jim stuck his head in and disappeared. I screamed, "Jimmy!" but he was gone. The guide pulled me away and said, "Run! We have to find the car before the sun goes down. Wait, Jimmy has the car keys and he's nowhere to be seen." After nonstop hiking all day, I was hot, tired, and thirsty and couldn't walk a step farther. And now we heard these unusual sounds and thumping, which was getting louder and louder and closer and closer. Run! After what seemed hours, my head was pounding. I opened my eyes and I saw the King of the Wings and Jimmy in front of me. I screamed, "Jimmy!" but he was fixated on looking at the wings and wondering how we all got here. Did we enter into some sort of vortex? Was this a dream? Oh, this is all too much to handle. And I'm still wobbling back and forth and can't believe all of this happened in a day. After taking tons of photos and no idea where the car was, our guide called someone with their GPS coordinates, and we finally managed to find the car after another hour-and-a-half hike while maneuvering under barbed wire and sliding down a ravine. We must have been on sacred Navajo land after all. During our trek, we weren't sure what the heck we saw, or if we were hallucinating, dehydrated, or both, but we know that this was an adventure we will never forget, at least for me. Jimmy wants to do it again, but late at night. Is there something he wants to tell me? Did he turn into a skinwalker? Oh no! Postscript. The part about Arlene is totally accurate, a worrywart. However, as for Jimmy, he was never lost, never scared, and was the one who found the King of the Wings and the car without GPS. He did some major climbing though.
Oh, very interesting and fun. We all will have to go there now, I think. The next one, I could not find a category for. Is Mike O'Brien here? Oh, he is. Is there anything you want to say about this, Mike?
It's the same plan in different worlds.
It is, yeah.
You may have heard of the White Fox.
I heard of it after I got your program and looked it up and saw where it was.
This is in two parts. The first part is back when we lived in Illinois in about 2015. I did some video of a trip to White Pocket by way of Capitol Reef, Grand Staircase, Escalante, other places, non-million clips. The first part is overly dramatic. I want that known up front. The second part is just a series of images that I've taken over the years, several trips into White Pocket, one of my favorite places to go.
And where is it?
Misty's pretty neat. It's
near the Vermilion.
way northern Arizona, almost into Utah.
West of Page.
Between Page and Kanab.
Yeah.
South. If you're familiar with Coyote Buttes area, it's in that area. Yeah, between 89 and 89.
Yeah. So you are invited to see even more rocks.
This one's harder to get to. You need four-wheel drive and high clearance to get into White Pocket. No, Coyote Buttes you do, White Pocket you do it. It's too hard to get. Turn it down.
Turn it down. Hey, that was really interesting. Thank you, Mike, for sharing that with us. And I did ask Mike, hey, did he spice up the colors at all? No, he did not. They're natural. So we do have a category coming up now, poppies, okay? And just like before, one of our members, Ron Stein, went out to take some pictures and videos of poppies up north somewhere. And Royce Jacob found out about it. He said, hey, I think I got to go there. So he did. So, Ron, is there anything you want to say about this? Remember, you had talk time earlier, too.
This area is just east of Globe, Arizona, in a small crossroad called Peridot on the Indian reservation. You need to get a pass. Well, you take pictures on the reservation. Pass is only $10, so it's not big deal. But it's just unbelievable. You cannot walk without stepping on hundreds of poppies.
And I don't see Royce here, I don't think, right? So you're speaking for him, Ron.
What time of year was this?
In the spring,
Oh, it was in the spring when all the flowers were out.
I worked up there, and I worked with a couple of Native American social workers, so Michelle's gonna be somebody from
Coming up, Poppy's number 2.
Good morning, multimedia. You guys always ask, tell us a little bit about the video. So I just thought I'd tell you a little bit about the video. I was talking to Ron Stein the other day in the camera club. Oh, wait a minute, photography club.
Yeah.
About the places he goes and sees, and he was just telling me about a trip he went up to around in the Apache Reservation outside of Globe, Arizona. And I thought, wow, that's one place I haven't been. So let's get on it because the poppies aren't going to last forever. I called up there, did a little research, and found out, well, they're kind of fading, but they're still here. So contacted my fellow traveler, Jerome. We've done a few trips together along with Milo. And took the 145-mile drive up, and we're not disappointed. Even though the flowers were obviously less than what they were, it was still very beautiful. Hope you guys enjoy.
Many thanks to Ron and Royce. That was really something. And you might remember that poppies, or last year was one of the best years in quite a while for spring flowers. So closing, um, this is kind of a Christmas story. You may have seen it before. If you have, I think you will enjoy it again.
I'm going to tell you a story from my highway patrol days. I simply call this my Christmas Eve. The hour is late, should go to bed, near midnight, I believe. But memories keep me wide awake this snowy Christmas Eve. Yes, memories of my kids moved on, each has their separate life. And how the holidays have changed since angels took my wife. The toys, the food, the Christmas cheer. My wife would bear the load because I would work most holidays, state trooper on the road. Just sitting in my easy chair, so many years retired, I reminisce on times gone by and all that has transpired. Of all the many happenings that seem to come to light, a multitude of them occurred right on this very night. A drunken woman in Iraq who died on Christmas Eve leaves memories of a tragic case most people can't believe. I had to drive to where she lived to tell her next of kin. Found the run-down mobile home she had been living in. The person answering the door, I still recall today. A little girl, about 4 years old. She said, "I'm Sue McKay." I asked her if her dad was home and felt the longest pause. She said, "My daddy ran away." "You must be Santa Claus. My mommy said you'd come tonight if I just stayed in bed and bring a pretty doll for me." It's what my mommy said. I broke the law that Christmas Eve, did not call child's care. They'd merely put her in a room, and that I couldn't bear. I picked her up and took her home. My wife tucked her in bed and wrapped the pretty doll for her, just like her mommy said. Adopted by a loving home, and soon they moved away. I won't forget that Christmas Eve and little Sue McKay. Another bitter Christmas Eve, a blizzard to behold. Had left a family in the ditch, just trapped there in the cold. By grace of God, I spotted them all cold and gaunt with fright, drove them to a motel room to safely spend the night. One Christmas Eve, a homeless man, shivering and wet, was trying hard to get a ride I'm sure he'd never get. I picked him up and drove him to a diner on the hill to warm his bones and left him with a $5 bill. Strange how when you're all alone with memories you recall, you think of everything you've done. Was it worth it all? I think about my God, my job, my children, and my wife. Would I do it all the same? Could I relive my life? Then comes a knock upon my door. This late, who could it be? A neighbor? Or has Santa Claus come to visit me? The figure standing in the cold gives me a sudden fright. A trooper with that solemn look. Dear God, who's died tonight? I'm flashing back through bygone years and how I'd often stood on someone's porch to bring them news, and it was never good. Is this how life gets back at me? For misery I've induced, where pain I've caused some other folks has now come home to roost. But looking in the trooper's eyes, my mind is in a whirl. I see a pleasant countenance. The trooper is a girl. She smiled and reached to shake my hand, and silence wasn't broke until a tear rolled down her cheek, and then she softly spoke. "I'm sure you don't remember me, but thought I'd stop and say, God bless you on this Christmas Eve. I'm Trooper Sue McKay."
That's a good story. I could watch it over and over and over again, I think. So anyway, that's almost it. I do want to share with you a little history about Showtime. I'm trying to think. We bought a place in 2004, and the camera club at that time was at the East Social Center. Okay, so I walked in and I signed in, paper and pencil then. Okay, And after about 5 minutes, this other member came over and stuck out his hand and said, "Welcome, Charles." And I thought, geez, am I dreaming? And this person was Jim Mitchell. And Jim did an awful lot for the Camera Club. He did the newsletter, he did the database, he did what? Jim Michael. I said Mitchell. I meant Michael. I have a friend by the name of Jim Mitchell, so that got in the way. He did Showtime. Actually, he invented Showtime, probably somewhere around 2002. He did it for a number of years, and then Ron Berry had done it for maybe 3 years or so. And then Linda Gregory took over from Ron and did it for a few years. And she wanted to move on to something else. So I said, well, I would volunteer. And that was like 12 years ago. And I had no idea that 12 years later, I'd still be doing it. And I've really enjoyed it. You know, thank you for your programs and your attendance and your support. Oh, by the way, the number of Zoomers, those are people that joined by Zoom, have grown from 2 to 10. And I think I counted 45 people here. But anyway, it's not that I can't do Showtime anymore. It's not that I don't want to do Showtime anymore. But at some point, I'm almost 100 years old. At some point, it needs to be passed on to someone else. So the board of directors interviewed 10 candidates and finally made a selection. No, they didn't do that. Todd Taylor has volunteered to take over Showtime. So in January, he'll be your go-to guy, and they won't have Chuck Hill to kick around anymore.
Boy, I wish we had 10 people volunteering to help. I want to make a couple of announcements. One is, beginning in January, as Chuck mentioned earlier, we will not have Showtime on Zoom, nor will we have the speaker series on Zoom. They'll be all live as well as Travelogue. December 12th, the next Travelogue will be here at Desert Hills, and moving forward, it will continue to be here, not at the Anza Room. GVR has plans to make the Anza Room an arts center, and I think eventually we're going to lose it, so we're making the move ahead of time. Also, there is no speaker series in December. The January speaker series will be in the Anza Room, but February, March, and April will be here. If you don't know, the photography club paid for a lot of the equipment here, so we're going to get some use out of it. 12 years is a long time, Chuck. He's turning the production over to Todd. And I'm so glad that he stepped right up and volunteered to do it. Volunteers don't always have, or don't necessarily have the time, they just have the heart. And Chuck put his heart into this program. And we want to thank you for that. Chuck, we have for you on behalf of the members, our new shirt. We have them in white, and we have women's shirts as well, in gold and white.
That's a nice shirt. Thank you. Wow, okay.
And also, we'd like you to enjoy a meal at Ragazzi's.
Okay.
On behalf of the club. It's volunteers like Chuck that keep the club going strong, and we want to thank you for it. Thank you for being here tonight. Have a good evening.
Just one more thing. Did you want this? Your speech? You want your speech?
You took my notes away from me.
That's all there is.
Thank you, Chuck.